Many years ago, the people of Israel were living in Egypt. Their ancestors had come there during a time of famine when Joseph saved Egypt. At first, the Israelites lived in peace and were respected. But, as time passed, a new king came to power in Egypt. This Pharaoh did not remember Joseph or the good things he had done for the nation. Pharaoh began to notice something. The Israelites were growing in number very quickly. Their families were multiplying, and they were becoming strong people. Pharaoh became afraid that if war came, the Israelites might join Egypt's enemies and fight against Egypt. Because of this fear, Pharaoh decided to control them. He forced the Israelites to become slaves. They worked day and night building cities, carrying heavy stones, and making bricks under the hot sun. Their lives became very painful and difficult. The Israelites cried out because of their suffering. Their bodies were tired, and their hearts were broken. They prayed to God to remember them and rescue them from the cruel slavery they were facing in Egypt. But Pharaoh became even more cruel. He made a terrible law. He commanded that every Hebrew baby boy that was born must be thrown into the Nile River. Only the baby girls were allowed to live. His goal was to stop the Israelites from growing. During this dark time, a woman from the tribe of Levi gave birth to a baby boy. When she looked at her baby, she knew he was special. She loved him deeply and decided she would do everything possible to protect him. For 3 months, the mother hid the baby inside her house. Every time the baby cried, she tried her best to keep the sound quiet so the Egyptian soldiers would not hear. But, as the baby grew, hiding him became impossible. His cries became louder. His mother knew that if the soldiers discovered him, they would take him away. She needed another plan to save her child. The mother made a small basket from strong reeds. She carefully covered it with tar so that water could not enter. The basket would float like a small boat on the river. Early one morning, she placed her baby gently inside the basket. With tears in her eyes and faith in her heart, she carried the basket to the Nile River and placed it among the tall grass near the water. The baby's older sister stood a short distance away. She watched quietly to see what would happen to her little brother. Her heart was full of fear and hope at the same time. At that same moment, Pharaoh's daughter came down to the river to bathe. She walked along the river bank with her servants when she suddenly noticed a strange basket floating among the reeds. Curious, she asked one of her servants to bring the basket to her. When she opened it, she saw a small baby boy crying. Immediately she knew the baby was a Hebrew child. Even though her father had commanded that Hebrew boys be killed, her heart was filled with compassion. She felt pity for the helpless baby and decided she would save him. Just then, the baby's sister bravely walked forward and spoke to Pharaoh's daughter. She asked, "Should I find a Hebrew woman to take care of the baby and nurse him for you?" Pharaoh's daughter agreed. The girl quickly ran and brought the baby's own mother. Pharaoh's daughter told her to care for the child and promised to pay her for doing it. So the baby returned home and was raised by his real mother for several years. During this time, she taught him about his people and about the God of Israel. When the child became older, his mother brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter. She adopted him as her own son and named him Moses, which means drawn out of the water. Moses grew up in Pharaoh's palace surrounded by wealth and comfort. He received the best education in Egypt and was trained like a prince. Even though Moses lived in the palace, he never forgot that he was an Israelite. One day, he went out and saw his people suffering under the harsh slavery of Egypt. Moses saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. Filled with anger and compassion, Moses fought the Egyptian and killed him. Then he buried the body in the sand. The next day, Moses tried to stop the Hebrews from fighting. But one of them said, "Who made you ruler over us? Are you going to kill me like you killed the Egyptian?" Moses realized his secret was known. When Pharaoh heard about it, he wanted Moses dead. Moses quickly fled from Egypt and escaped into the wilderness. Moses arrived in the land of Midian. There he helped some shepherd women protect their sheep from rude shepherds. Their father welcomed Moses into his home. Moses married one of the daughters named Zipporah. He started a quiet life as a shepherd, caring for sheep in the desert for many years. One day while watching the sheep, Moses saw something strange. A bush was on fire, but it was not burning up. When he went closer, God spoke to him from the bush. God told Moses that he had seen the suffering of the Israelites in Egypt. God said Moses would be the one to go to Pharaoh and lead his people out of slavery. Moses felt afraid. He said he was not a good speaker and did not feel strong enough for such a task. But God promised to be with him and gave him his brother Aaron to help him. Moses returned to Egypt and stood before Pharaoh. He delivered God's message, "Let my people go," but Pharaoh refused. God sent powerful plagues upon Egypt until Pharaoh finally allowed the Israelites to leave. Moses led the people out, and when they reached the Red Sea, God parted the waters so they could cross safely. When the Egyptian army followed, the sea closed again. The Israelites were finally free, and God had used Moses to lead his people to freedom.